Hey there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 704 High School Highlight Podcast. My name is Jeff Taylor. I'm the sports director here at Bahakel Sports. Thanks for joining us on this episode of this podcast. So we want to also thank the Downer Law Firm. They are Charlotte's hometown legal team. They have sponsored this podcast. If you're ever hurt or injured, make sure you reach out to the Downer Law Firm. So it hit me, we've been doing this podcast for a little over a year now. We started actually back in December of 22, and in that year plus, we've talked with some great high school players, coaches, people involved with high school athletics, and it's really just been awesome to get a chance to do that and get to tell the stories of people who are just front and center in high school sports. For me, high school sports, it's great, the X's and O's, but at the end of the day, when you talk about the stories of the people who are involved, that's a pretty cool deal. So it's been awesome. Like I said, it's been a little over a year, and what I always say at the end of the podcast is make sure you like, comment, send us questions. And as I was going through the past year plus of the podcast, it made me think about that what I say there. And what I mean by that is I've had questions, there's been comments, and I've never really kind of replied to them a whole lot because they've been more about questions. And it's really been questions regarding who I am. People don't know a whole lot about me. And so I wanted to take this episode and just tell you a little bit about myself, growing up, how I got into television, some of the cool things that I've had the chance to do, and let you get to know me a little bit better. So first and foremost, somebody asked, where did I grow up and did I play high school sports? And so I was born and raised in Richmond, Virginia, and played sports growing up, whether it was Little League or Pop Warner, playing football, baseball, played tennis, started playing golf when I was about 12. I play it now, but it's casual. I'm not very good. I'm okay. We'll just put it like that. But, kind of played everything there was that I could possibly play. But when high school hit, it became more of a focus of I wanted to play football and I wanted to run track. And so I played football and I was on special teams. I was a place kicker and loved doing that. JV and then varsity, and I wasn't soccer style. This is back in the 1980s, late 80s, and I kicked actually straight on. I had a shoe that had like a flat toe, and you kick straight on. So you younger kids may not know anything about that, but if you go back and Google a guy like Mark Mosley, Tom Dempsey, you'll see what I meant when I meant straight on. And Mark Mosley wore a shoe that had the flat toe. It was almost, I can't even explain it, but I wore that, and so I did that in high school, and loved playing football, loved being part of the team, and it was just awesome. A little different than it is today. Back then, we hit football about July, where we'd come out and have 2 weeks of just kind of getting back into it, and then of course we'd have two-a-days, and then of course the season ran from like September to November. But that was it. Once November hit and we were done with football, we put up the pads, we put up the helmets, and we shut down the locker room until the next summer. Not like today. I've had my boys play football, and in high school, it's become a much bigger deal. Pretty much year-round training. There's weightlifting. There's Zoom calls. There's all types of meetings and stuff. So it's changed a little bit since when I played. But I loved playing football growing up, and football has always kind of been my favorite sport to watch. And actually, I played in college, a small Division III school in Virginia, Randolph-Macon College, home of the Yellow Jackets. And talk a little bit more about football after I got out of that and graduated from college. I actually started officiating football on the high school level. So I officiated Pop Warner games. I did middle school games, JV games, varsity games. Did that for about 10 years. And had a blast doing it. I really enjoyed being a football official. Did that, and then once I got out of that, it was time to coach my kids. So I actually coached in Pop Warner for about 10 years and loved doing that. So football has always been kind of when it comes to sports, my first love. I just love football, and I really love high school football. And when people asked, when you got done playing it, then you started officiating it, why did you start officiating it? And my reply was always, there's just something about high school football. And for those of you who play, for those of you who coach, the cheerleaders, the fans, the parents, you know there's just something special about high school football on a Friday night. It's just this kind of magical feeling. I can't explain it. People have asked me, why do you love high school football so much? And I'm just like, I can't explain it. Even being able to cover it as a sports reporter or sports anchor, going out there on Friday night, especially this past fall when we did the Blitz every Friday night, going out there and covering games, as soon as I walked onto a football field on Friday night, it would be that same feeling. It was almost like butterflies. And it's just something about being out there. So, love football. Like I said, played it in high school, college, officiated it, coached it. It's been a pretty big part of my life and my family's life. We are a football family. So that's been awesome. The other sport I did, as I mentioned in high school, I ran track and I ran the half mile, which some people will say is the toughest race to run in track. It's pretty much 2 laps around the high school track and you're in almost a dead sprint. You don't slow down. And it was a tough race to run. But I ran that junior year and senior year. I also would run the 2 mile. And I almost didn't do that competitively. I almost did it just like a cool down because it normally followed the 800. And so I kind of just used it as a cool down run. So the 800 was kind of my specialty. My senior year, my track coach asked if I wanted to long jump, which I had never done in my life, but I said, sure, why not? So I did the long jump in my senior year and also ran some hurdles and then did the 2 mile relay too, which four people all running the 800 yards. So that's kind of what I did in high school. Never really got into basketball or baseball or any of that, golf or tennis. Like I said, golf and tennis became more of recreational sport, just kind of chilling out and having a good time. So that's what I did. And, kind of growing up as a kid. What got me into television? So maybe the craziest story you'll ever hear, and it's certainly one that I kind of still have to step back and kind of in awe of when I go back and think about it. How I got into television. It was 1993, and I had been out of college for about 3 years and married, and the local CBS affiliate in Richmond, Virginia had what they called a Sportscaster for the Day competition. Basically what they did was they set up a studio in a mall, and there were cameras, teleprompter, and you basically got on the anchor desk in this mall and you did a 3-minute sportscast, kind of like you would see today. There was highlights, there were scores, there were interviews. They had about 1,000 people come through and do these little 3-minute sportscasts. From that, they picked 2 winners. And those 2 winners actually got to come on and do the 6 and 11 o'clock sports for the CBS affiliate in Richmond. And so when it was announced who the winners were, there was a young lady and myself. So I won, and I had the chance to go and do sports. And it was the coolest thing I think I ever did. I actually went out to Richmond International Raceway and did a NASCAR story. Big shock because I do a lot of NASCAR stuff now too. But got to do that and interview the president of the track and walk around the track, and it was just this kind of cool deal. And I remember after everything aired and I had done the sportscast, I remember coming home and talking to my wife, and I'm going, okay, this is cool. I could see myself doing this. And just kind of got in with a station in Richmond as a somebody listening to police scanners. It's called the assignment desk, and didn't know anything about television. I grew up and in college I majored in political science, and never thought broadcasting would be a part of me. And so that kind of changed my trajectory of what I wanted to do. And sure enough, I got a job listening to police scanners and just kind of started working my way up, learning how to run a floor camera, learning how to do things, learning how to write, learning how to edit, and eventually got into sports and as a sports producer. And then we moved to Hampton Roads, Virginia, and I had a chance to get on air in Hampton Roads, a Saturday morning sports anchor and reporter. Did that for a few years, and then we moved to Charlotte in 1999, and I had then the chance to go to work for TNN, which is the Nashville network. And I worked for a show called Race Day. It was racing, NASCAR. Was on the road 35 weekends a year, covering NASCAR, covering Indy racing, covering NHRA, and it was awesome. I did that for about 3 years, and it was a lot. And so, yeah, and the journey's just kind of continued here and there. And about a year ago, was blessed enough to be named sports director at Bahakel Sports and WCCB. And it's hard to believe that I'm here now, and I go back to 1993 and see that sportscaster for a day thing that I did, and just amazed at the journey that it put me on. So that's how I kind of got into journalism. I know a lot of people will go to school and go through journalism school and kind of work their way up through the ranks, which I did work my way up through the ranks. I just didn't have the education. I pretty much learned on the job. So broadcasting is an awesome thing. It's a cool thing, and it's just something that's really fun and enjoyable to do. And it's been awesome. So there's that. Let's see. How much do I love high school sports? Well, I talked a little bit about football. High school sports, I think what is so cool about high school sports is when you think about college and you think about the transfer portal now, or the NIL, and how big and almost corporate-like, college sports have become. I don't say it's tainted it any, but you know what I'm getting at. It's kind of taken away what I like to say is the purity of the sports. When you get to the majors and the NFL and the NHL and all of that, the professionals, it's become so much of a business. It is a sport, but there's that business aspect of it too. So for me, high school sports, I talked about the feeling on a Friday night walking out onto that football field. It's the same feeling I get if I walk into a gym, or if I walk onto a baseball field or a soccer field or lacrosse or wrestling, whatever it is. There's just this purity about high school sports. It's such a cool thing to do and be a part of. And I know that the students who are watching, or the parents, the athletic directors, you guys know what I mean. There's just something so special about high school sports. And I think the cool part of what we try to do here at Bahakel Sports, and we've made it our goal to become your home for high school sports. We've done the X's and O's and we've done the highlights, but we've also told the stories about those folks who make high school sports what it is in the Queen City. We talk about the podcast, but every night on WCCB, or most of the nights when we can, we have some type of cool sports story. Being able to do the Blitz was awesome. So just high school sports in itself, when people ask me to explain it, I try my best to just go, it's the magic of it. It's the purity of it. It's just, it's being a part of a team. And that's what makes it so awesome. And welcome back to the 704 High School Highlight Podcast. My name is Jeff Taylor, Sports Director here at Bahakel Sports. Thanks for joining us, and our thanks to Downer Law Firm, Charlotte's hometown legal team. They sponsor this podcast, and we just want to thank them for that. If you're ever injured or in an accident, make sure you check out the Downer Law Firm. So as I said, we've been doing this podcast for a little over a year, and I just want to take this time today and let you guys get to know a little bit more about me. Normally I have a guest and we're talking high school sports and stuff, but I realize that you guys may not know a whole lot about me. So I wanted to just kind of take some time to answer some of your questions and let you guys get to know me a little bit better. So one question I had was, what is the coolest sports story I've ever covered? Or what are some of the big events you've covered? So for me, one of the first things I always talk about is the Daytona 500 that Dale Earnhardt Sr. won. I was there covering that race. It's the first Daytona 500 I've ever been to. And when he won, if you ever go back and Google it or saw it, after he won, he went down pit road, and nearly every pit crew member was along pit road giving him a high five. And it took him like 45 minutes just to get down pit road, even to get to victory lane, or to be able to go out on the infield and do some burnouts. So being there for that, and I was right there on pit road. About the time he got to me, he went out on the infield and started doing donuts, so I didn't get to give him a high five. But that was a pretty cool moment. I had the chance to cover the Indy 500 only once, and I think all the pageantry and stuff leading up to the start of the Indy 500 resonates in my mind all the time when I talk about some of the cool stuff I've had the chance to do. Being out there with, all the drivers, all the celebrities, looking up and down in pit road and all the colors, and just looking at the stands and realizing that track in the stands, I think it holds over 300,000 people. That's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool deal to go and see that. In terms of you know, just being able to cover the Carolina Panthers, to be able to cover the Charlotte Hornets, to be able to go to the Knights or the Checkers, all of that is just cool. Every time, you know, I go to a game and I'm sitting there, whether I'm shooting it or I'm in the press box, just really realizing how cool it is to be able to do that and see these things is pretty awesome. I didn't read this question beforehand, so I'm still trying to think of, going to Augusta for last year's Masters. Being able to go and we actually covered the women's amateur championship for Augusta National. There was the drive, chip, and putt for the kids, and going to the practice round for the Masters was pretty cool. I was on the 16th tee, and Tiger Woods walked up with Freddie Couples and Rory McIlroy, and it was those three. And so to watch them tee off on the 16th was a pretty cool deal. So I'm sure there's more, and you know, getting to meet the people that I've had a chance to meet over the time and sit down and interview, whether it's been Jeff Gordon or Dan Marino or Rusty Wallace, Payne Stewart, a golfer who tragically died it's been a while now in a plane crash. But just being able to interview some of the people I have is pretty cool, and so that's been pretty awesome. Any famous people that I covered in high school? Let me think about this one for a second. Let's see. Hampton Roads was full of some great high school talent in terms of who've become pro athletes, and I know there are a ton here in Charlotte, but for me, I was able to watch Michael Vick play high school basketball, which was crazy to see how good he was back there. Watching him on a high school field was pretty amazing to watch some of the stuff he could do on that high school field. Allen Iverson, had a chance to cover him some, had a chance to play basketball against Allen Iverson. I didn't do very well against him. I tried guarding him. That didn't work. So, I'm just trying to figure out if there are any more from, not high school. When I was in Virginia, I got a chance to always talk to Tiki and Rondi Barber almost every Monday when they played for the University of Virginia. So those are just a few. And, but I've also gotten to meet some great people in broadcasting also. Ryan McGee and Marty Smith, who do Marty and McGee every Saturday morning on the SEC Network. I've gotten to know them real well. I had a chance to, chat with Chris Berman, who a legend, for ESPN. Just to be able to talk to some of those people, Mike Joy from Fox and, Barney Hall at the Motor Racing Network and all the guys at the Motor Racing Network. Just being able to talk to those people and kind of hang out with them, and it's been kind of cool. If I wasn't doing what I was doing right now in terms of broadcasting, what would I be doing? Wow, that's a tough question. Would love to be playing golf professionally, but that's not going to happen. I think that if it wasn't in front of the camera, I've really kind of started to fall in love with behind the camera, watching what people do behind the camera in terms of production and editing and directing and producing and, taking an idea and bringing it to life. I think being behind the camera is pretty cool. Any type of PR for a pro team or a college team, NASCAR team, doing some PR or something like that, I think that would be pretty cool. I think that's just, that's awesome. And I would love to maybe do that. I think that would be cool. Let's see, what's another question? How much do I love Charlotte? Love the Queen City. We have been here, we moved here in 1999. So, almost 25 years now we've been here in Charlotte. And I love it. I love everything about the Queen City, the sports that we have, the arts that we have, the entertainment that we have, the restaurants. You can be in the mountains, hour and a half, 2 hours. You could be in the beach at, 3 or 4 hours. So to be able to get to all of those places, it's pretty amazing. But, Charlotte is such a cool town. I say town, city. but it still has that small town feel, if that makes sense. I think that's what I love about it. I love being here. I love being a part of it. And I think, being here at Bay Hackle Sports and being able to expand who I talk to and what I get to see has even added so much more to it. So, it's a great place to live. I've only lived in two other places, in Richmond, Virginia, and Hampton Roads, Virginia. So to be here in the Queen City, it's pretty cool, and love being a part of the city. Last but not least, what can we expect over the next year on the podcast? We're just going to continue to expand on this podcast. We're certainly trying to do our best to, get with athletes and coaches, athletic directors, parents, broadcasters, whoever, gets out there and tells the stories and is participating in high school sports. We're just going to try to take that to another level this year in 2024. For Bay Hackle Sports, we're going to continue to strive to be your home for high school sports, whether it's through social media, all of our digital platforms, whether it's WCCB. We did the Shrine Bowl back in the fall, and the Shrine Bowl, being a part of that, was just awesome, and bringing together the best high school players from North Carolina and South Carolina and the coaches. To be a part of that was awesome. We're going to do that again this fall, and looking forward to being a part of that. So I think we're at this point, we're just evolving and continuing to grow, and it's awesome to be a part of it. The full backing of everybody here at Bay Hackle Sports and Bay Hackle Communications makes my job just a blessing. So it's cool to be a part of. So I think I've answered pretty much all of them. I want to thank you guys for listening. I want to thank you guys for continuing to tune in and check us out. Like I said, we are on any and every platform you might get your podcast from. So make sure you just, search 704 High School Highlight Podcast. I listen to it on Alexa or Echo. Make sure that you get over to bayhacklesports.com, check out our website. You check out our YouTube page. We do have a YouTube page. If you can subscribe to that, that'd be awesome. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And just make sure you're interacting with us. We love to hear the stories. And if you've got one that we haven't told yet or you want to be a part of this podcast, make sure you reach out to me, and we'll continue to do what we do. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate you following us and, supporting this podcast. And we're just looking forward to a great 2024. So until next time, thanks for listening to the 704 High School Highlight Podcast. We'll catch you soon.